Got it.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to
Oh,
Authenticity, part of Sology Network. And today's guest is Jill Woodworth. She is a beloved sister who is a former podcaster and producer of her own show on the network on Sology. So today's show, we were going to focus on a couple things. Jill has some events coming up we want to highlight. We also want to highlight Jill's journey and where she's at. And so, Jill, I wanted to ask you, how have you been navigating January and February so far?
oh boy. Um, it's been interesting, I will say. I feel like I'm seeing things very, like I want to say I triggered a lot. A lot of things are coming up. I would say that I had no idea. Well, not no idea, but I with just such like force, like look at me, look at this. And moving through just kind of layers of stuff that I don't want to say was in the shadows, but just everything seems just like really front and center for me. Kind of what I don't want to say what I need to work on, but areas that, that might need just a little tweaking or whatever, and not letting myself get so pulled down into like depression or so much resistance that I can't function. And I don't want to say like from a place of controlling it, but an awareness of all these things. And I think that's one thing that I've been grateful for is that I do have that observer most of the time where I can like be in the middle of a personal, crisis or whatever, and still kind of be like, huh, well, that's great. That's really intense. So
We have a lot more clarity and awareness, and
yes,
we can see when we're in it more clearly and what we need to bring maybe some more heart space to and some clarity to. And so when things come back to visit us, it's generally from a different perspective so that we may view it in a different way.
so true.
And Jill, do you produce your own show?
Yes, I did a podcast for a bunch of years. Oops, my connections. I'm gonna shut down a window here. Yeah, I did a podcast for a bunch of years from like 2016 through 2022. Um, that was kind of like an awakening, kind of followed a lot of my awakening process. And it was led by a lot of intuition. It was in regards to my several of my offspring that have a particular diagnosis. And I don't know how far down the road you want me to go with this, but I was newly divorced, kind of struggling, and met with a lot of their caregiving needs, and tough to find. I couldn't take like a regular job. I was like working out of my house, and I felt very isolated and alone, and felt like if I talked to other parents that were going through similar things, that might be be helpful for me, and maybe for them. And I was really into podcasts. I had started listening to podcasters. It was a real like outlet for me. I'd go for runs and listen to podcasters. And I had woken up early, kind of however you want to say it, through addiction treatment in
Mhm.
2012. So I was already on the path, but whatever that is, uh, just out
Yeah.
like I would go out and run and listen to Joe Rogan, and I'd hear these things like especially about like medical stuff that was really like um enlightening for me and helped me kind of move through some like getting off of a lot of medications and kind of trauma integration. And so I was really inspired by what podcasters could do. So I thought, well, I'm going to start interviewing my kids, which, you know, so I started interviewing my kids that had I think I interviewed all but one. and asked them what their experiences was. And then from there, I felt like I didn't want to keep it focused on them. And so I started talking to family members, like other parents that had the kids had the same diagnosis that my kids had, and then doctors. And then I learned more, and I ended up in the learning that cannabis was a wonderful tool for epilepsy and some of the manifestations my kids were experiencing. So deep dive into cannabis and learning about more alternative medicine. And it's just like one thing led to another, and each connection with someone that I interviewed would um, not only open me more, but show me what was next, kind of. It was very, yeah, and I ended up having a close friend come and help me with it. And we kind of went off on a few sidetracks to start a business doing some selling a cannabis related product that didn't quite work out. But the podcast really was, and it was having an impact in the real niche. It never really got to be like this major, like, any kind of major podcast, but in this niche, um, for special needs parents and people particularly struggling with this diagnosis, it's still listened to all over the world. So I feel really good about that.
That's
So yeah,
really
that's my
beautiful.
podcasting story. Yeah,
I really love that. And thank you. It feels,
sure.
and I'm sure everyone that's listening and will be listening, how you grew through this process of
Yeah,
interviewing your children and family members and how it brought so much healing and awareness. And
thank
that's
you.
really beautiful. And is that what inspired you to create what you're creating now in your new free online class that's coming up?
Yes, yes. Actually, it was kind of the idea came to me back doing this podcast. And I remember it was, I'm sure you're familiar, like it was one of those ideas or like downloads or uploads, whatever, that just kind of drop in like, oh my gosh. I remember walking into, I got the idea, I was out running and I'm like, I have to tell my partner. And he's like, I'm like, I had this great idea that I could go into people's families and I could interview, I could make a podcast in a family. And my idea at first was I'll go in and I'll let them pick who they want me to interview, and I'll do the interviews and I'll put the whole thing together. It'll be like a package. And he's always been a huge support, and he's like, that's great, that's great. But I was already really immersed in a lot of other things, and I kind of put it on the back burner, just that whole idea of it being like a family type thing. Because I was more
Mhm.
focused. At that point I was interviewing people all over the place, and really it was like a business for me. So I put that I I'm had that idea, and I was like, huh. I didn't have a lot of resources to throw her a party.
I don't know if you can hear me, but you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Okay.
Let me take a moment and look at the messages
I'm gonna
on Facebook.
sorry. I'm cutting.
No, it's okay. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us. Okay. Facebook. No, it's okay. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us. Hmm.
Can they
Yep.
hear us?
Yeah. Yep. I think everybody can still hear
Uh,
us and you're coming
good.
in.
All right. I'm just making sure I'm shutting down as many things. I don't know. Yeah, I've had problems getting my Ethernet connected to it, so I'm using Wi-Fi, and I'm like telling everybody in my house to get off the Wi-Fi. So
Everybody off. Okay, let's get back to it. So when is your free live event?
but the free live event is this coming Saturday, the 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern. And it's I'm doing it through Eventbrite, but anybody that emails me or reaches out, I will send you a link. And I'm going to go through this process. I'm going to give you the basics of it. And I feel like it hits on a lot of levels just because you're learning technical skills. In terms of setting up like you could do it on Zoom. You could do these interviews with your family members. So say I wanted to memorialize my mother or give her a special gift. I chose like 8 people immediate or extended family that I knew she was close to talk to. And I reached out via email and kind of started a conversation. And these are people that I didn't necessarily talk to a whole lot. It was before COVID. And I'm really glad I did because, things with COVID got so crazy. And there was some back and forth, and I would kind of, after I talked with them a little bit via email, I'd send them some questions, kind of think about them and what memories they might hold of my mother, and just experiences that they could share and the impact that she had on their lives. And then I set the schedule the interview, called them up and recorded the calls, and then put them into episodes of a podcast. And
Oh,
it was, yeah. And so then, and I put little intros on each of the podcasts. So it was like and it was all audio. It wasn't, I didn't use the video. At this point, I plan to teach it. So you could use both, or, well, you could use audio or video. And with audio, uh, you could, I'm going to show you how you could upload it to a podcasting platform, or you could just keep it on a Google Drive and have little, audio files that whoever you're giving this to. So if they didn't want it to be public, and I didn't set the podcast that I did for my mother public. I made it limited access, so only someone who had the link would be able to listen, or she could give it out. So, and it's still up on my platform. She doesn't want it public in any way. So, but she loved it, and the process was just as probably beneficial for me as for her, just making this contact with these relatives. And um yeah, I felt like I had a connection with them. And if there were areas of conflict with someone, I would say you're focusing on another person that you're interviewing them about. So, like in families, I know things get kind of sticky and it's hard to just pick up the phone and call someone. But if you have a dedicated person to have a conversation about something else, not about them or you, it's such a beautiful thing. I was like blown away. All my resistance and my judgments and that you have about other that just are come up over time.
sure.
And it's just, I found it a beautiful process and a really unique gift for her. So, and
So in this coming event on the 17th, this is a class and a course on the how-tos to create your own
yeah,
podcast.
exactly.
But
I'm going to give the basic overview. So if you have technical skills, or you'd be able to listen to this and do it. I'm pretty confident. If you need extra help, you can reach out to me. That's kind of what I do. I coach people, like,
right.
through podcasting. You can reach out and hire me. Uh, I'm making it free, and I'm going to give away not all my secrets, but they're not secrets. Just kind of, I want to make sure that people could walk away and do it themselves, because it's really not that hard, especially if you've done something like this on Soul. I don't think you're used to doing any kind of audio recording. And I talk a little bit about, the interviewing process and kind of how to compose questions and feel into, like, I don't want to say feel into the energies of the person that you're going to connect with. And really, it can be like a real spiritual process. Well, of course it is. Everything is.
Yeah, and
So,
that's what I'm really getting from it is that through this process, there's a lot of healing happening.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, like, I was going to market it kind of more ancestral, like deal with your ancestral, some ancestral healing could happen because you're kind of tipping the edges of it with different family members. And I it's not formally that or anything, but I think that that's a piece of it. Yeah, I think, being a busy mom over the years, um you forget how valuable that just people are in your life that are in your family, even if you're not getting along with them. And
How many
it
children do
helped.
you have, Jill?
I have
I'm sorry you cut out.
I have five. Oh, crap.
5. And how
Yeah.
many are do you have any at home? The one you caregive?
Yeah, I have two at home. I have one who is on her way of like moving out kind of, and then one who is going to be either with me or somewhere with support. And then I have one in a group home um, in a town nearby, and one who lives with her dad and is in college, and then one from my first marriage that's often has his own life and kid. So kind of
Oh,
all over the
beautiful.
place. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I like I like the fact that your podcast is bringing people together who want to share in a different way and to be heard. And video podcasting does that. And, the technology that we have available to us now, there's different ways besides sitting in a room with a therapist or a
yeah,
counselor. And not that there's, those are respected professions, and that is something that has worked for so many and still do. But this offering is very much aligned with where we're headed technology wise, and how we connect with one another, and how we're able to take advantage of being able to come together online no matter where we live is a
totally.
beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think, yeah, you really explained that well. Um, that is a huge piece of it is it's very therapeutic and it does create, I got some of my relatives that might have been a little hesitant by explaining that they were creating like a historical document, a historical record going forward that future generations could possibly, get those. I think, as we move forward into this world of more AI and
Mm-hmm.
um, I want to say falsity, and I don't think that AI can be used purposefully as long as it's not using us. And I can see how we may be dumbed down to a degree because it's so easy. I mean, I found tools on AI that blow me away.
Mm-hmm.
But so having a practice like this or using a process like this, kind of like keeps the heart in the social media and in this type of online stuff where I feel like and what Todd is doing and your podcast on Soology and what is just such a great use of these tools and social media and that's the other piece of it is just you'll get tools like I can teach or I plan to teach in the class some of the marketing tools like using a Canva app um, just to make, kind of a post about that you could go with your podcast and customize these little episodes. So you get a whole bunch of skills too if if you're comfortable with that. And I'm finding I taught podcasting at a night school and I was really surprised by people that are in my age range. I shouldn't be that surprised that really had no idea what they could actually do
Mm-hmm.
with social media that was so simple. Like it's just, I mean, somebody may took my class that she didn't even want to create a podcast. She discovered the Canva app, which is like a Adobe type thing that's pretty accessible. And she used it for her hair salon business. And she wrote to me recently and she's like, Jill, um, yes, people are asking me now to make ads for them. How much should I charge?
Are
And I
you
was like,
doing sessions, Jill?
am I
Are you offering sessions? Like, do
Yes,
you
I
offer?
do offer coaching sessions and I'm just opened my website. It's jillwoodworth.com. I'm still really working on it, but I do offer like a one-on-one um, coaching session if you're interested in learning more about social media or and you don't necessarily want to create a podcast or if you want to do what I call like I've done it with Sherry Matson is a friend of mine on Soology, and we worked together on a podcast where she talked about her life, and I recorded her talking, and we made that into two different episodes. And so, if she wants to share the story of her life, she just sends a podcast link. So, using these these tools that we have for real heart expansion, real like therapeutic fun. I find it a lot of fun.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be serious. We can have fun with this, right? We're
Right.
learning as we grow. Um,
Exactly.
On metaphysical music and conversation, is that still something that you're doing on your own? What was metaphysical music? If
Uh,
people didn't realize what that was.
sure, sure. So Gabby and I had the idea that we would have a podcast where um, we would use music kind of as a impetus for discussion, and we would play some of her musics and other, expose people to different musical styles, and um, just kind of use it also as a background discussion for the things that we were challenged with, what we were experiencing. So I think went all over the place on that podcast. I think she and I would just sit down and we'd play a song at the beginning, and kind of get into like just relax and breathe, a meditative state, and then just kind of let the conversation flow. And both Gabby and I have in common that we've come through some real intense addiction issues, and have just that as a common ground. And children, and dealing with spirituality and the challenges of raising children in our world, and um, just that was one of the topics. I'm trying to think, but
I mean, you
yeah,
said a lot. Music is very healing, and there's lots that bring us together with music. And
yes.
then opening the conversation. Did you find that there was copyright issues when you use music?
Well, we didn't. We used some of Gabby's music, and we did it on the private platform, so we weren't sharing it outward at that. But there would have been, I believe, 'cause I know that from doing a podcast that I'd have to go to a special site to get music that was non-copyrighted. So
That's
yeah, I'm
another
not
thing.
quite sure if we were going public or more public, how we would work through that, but
Yeah, I didn't know if that was something you were teaching in your class about music and copyrights and how that works. Because sometimes I've had this thought where I'd like the intro to start with music as well while we're waiting for people to come on. And that
well,
way,
yes, actually,
you
I would
know,
say, yeah, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Uh, I just had a thought that I did use music in these podcasts as part of my intros, and so I know how to find non-copyrighted music, where it is all over the place. And I can teach people that, how to get little clips that you can take and download and then put into the front of your podcast, or in the middle, or in the background. So that that will be part of it. It's not a big part, but that's one of those skills that kind of goes with the whole podcasting package, is learning to use music as part of it. So
Jill, I wanted you've mentioned addiction a couple times. Did you want to talk about that healing journey a little bit for
sure.
anyone who is listening and again on the replay that may benefit from your healing journey with some of that?
Sure, sure, absolutely. So, like I said, I'm trying to pick where, I'm 57, so I don't want to go back too far.
No, no, no,
Or
no.
we'll be
Like
here
just
all
a little
day.
bit. We
Little,
well, we
yeah,
only have a limited amount of time, and we're
right.
all going through ascension, and embodiment and learning our way through our own realizations and awarenesses at different levels. And
Okay,
addiction for many people come in all forms. It's not always drugs
right. Oh, I know. I think we're all
or
addicted on some
alcohol.
level.
Yeah, addiction comes in so many shapes, sizes, and colors. It doesn't matter. But addiction in itself is
Yeah,
something that many people can relate to.
yeah. I think I was married and had 5 children, or over the process of having all these children. I addicted to escaping in place, basically, and started using alcohol addictively. And I will say that I also was put on a number of pharmaceuticals too, that, well, not put on, I chose to take pharmaceuticals throughout my childbearing years. I would always stop when I was pregnant. But I felt like, I mean, I felt like I'm sure, you know, I don't look back at with regret because I feel like I've learned from all of it, but I feel like that having antidepressants mixed with alcohol really affected my judgment and just, you know, I after, you know, going through the process of rehab and recovery and whatnot, I feel like there was I never would have made those decisions, well, obviously, but that was I feel like that was part of it wasn't really an addiction, but it was part of the influence that kind of led me in some really, really very unconscious behavior. So I would use alcohol and I had antidepressants and I actually at one point I ended up taking some of my children's stimulant medications and getting addicted to that. Anything I could use to basically get through the day. Um, I know I signed up for this and planned
Sure, sure.
this journey, but yeah, it's been what I wow. Yeah, a lot of chaos and a lot of medical stuff, seizures and you know, educational issues. The diagnosis that my children have hits on many different levels. So um I was dealing with like a lot, and my husband, my ex-husband and I really were kind of acting out our own, you know, say this now, and acting out our own like grief, not being really able to accept what was happening to our children. And yeah, I just saw this thing come up. So it was a lot. It was a lot, and I ended up at one point taking medications out of a trash in a hospital in my in for brain surgery at the real bottom. So yeah, so I ended up going to detox and getting into the AA program and really a lot of things that were crucial to me to be able to really survive and then really kind of wake up. I think that was it. I hit a real bottom in 2012. I'm not going into the gory details. I mean, I'm happy
No,
to,
it's
but
fine. No, no, no.
yeah,
A lot of us had a huge
I'm sure.
shifts around that time, 2012 or
Yes,
2011, and you know, a bit of reassessing our choices, and
absolutely.
it's important that people realize that we were all a part of this game of life and this play, this hologram, right? This
Exactly.
the the addictions to cope. Um,
Right.
was an aha moment in itself, you know, a realization that just, excuse me, merely being human um, was so painful that we needed something else to assist with the pain. So that was the awakening that a lot of us needed, right? The aha
Absolutely.
is I should be able to, my birthright to be joy. It should feel natural for
Yeah.
us to enjoy life to the fullest without crutches, or do I need to medicate myself to get through my day, or alcohol, or however, whatever that we use,
Whatever it is.
whatever it is. And I like myself better sober. My social drink of choice was alcohol, or drug of choice was alcohol. You know, it was a social thing for me.
Hmm.
You know, I really, being European and Portuguese, Europeans drink like it's, you know, we're having a glass of water with each other. And it was very normalized. And it was something that we just was a part of our identity.
Makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think for me it was the opposite. I mean, I grew up in the Christian, very conservative Christian paradigm, and it was really thought of as bad. So it was like a rebel,
Mm.
you know, a way of kind of claiming my own. Um, identity in some ways. I was just searching, and yeah, a powerful, powerful, and I hate to demonize all substances because I still use cannabis, and
Mhm.
I feel like I bring a different approach to it after having like kind of looked at a lot of my unconscious behavior during that, like why I did it then. It's not the same now. It's not like it doesn't have the same pull. It's
Mm.
like I can pick up I mean, I don't feel that pull of addiction, that pull of needing to escape, even though things can be very, very challenging. And that shift, of realizing that um, this isn't all random. That I'm divine, and that this is a plan. And things really started to click for me when I had that awareness. I think it was like 2020. Even though I was awake, I still hadn't tapped really into that piece of it where I understood that I was kind of personal responsibility. I had chosen this.
Right.
And, you know, so that was like, I think I found Lori Ladd in 2020 and went on her Patreon and really got a lot for I still follow her. I'm still on her Patreon. Um, I follow her, and it's that was really hugely helpful to have. I have some friends on there. I met Gabby on there,
Mm.
and switching that perspective to okay, well, this all is happening for me, and this is a gift, and that's really some days it's hard to see that. I think I always hold faith, and I always have. It's been a huge thread throughout my life. Though I did take a break from it for a little while, but um, yeah.
How do you sorry, I have a pop-up on my window I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get the right energy behind what I'm trying to say. Your podcast moving forward and ascension and spirituality, how do you have what is the inner mix there? Is it separate? Is it's nothing is separate from ascension or our reality, everything because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And
Right.
in your coaching, are you coaching? I guess I just want to getting more specific about your coaching in your website. If it's directed towards podcasting, or is it ascension related and spiritual
Kind of both.
related? It's both.
Kind of, I offer a free consult to get a sense of, if somebody wants to go a direction where they're getting social media skills, or they just want more of a business type approach to it, or they want to do like a storytelling where they're going to tell their story and they're going to talk through it and put that in, like I said, use the tools of podcasting for that. Or if they want to create a podcast, a personal podcast or a business podcast. So I'm still putting together the offerings, but I have worked with, I don't know, 3 or 4 different people that kind of done different things with each. And then I've taught the podcasting class and I plan to at the night school. So, yeah, I'm open to going really kind of getting a sense of what whoever wants to have a call, where they're at and what they want to work on and what they're, I think sometimes things come out when you have maybe an idea that you want to learn. You want to kind of going uh,
Here,
different experience.
here you come back. I had a little bit of a glitch there trying
Uh,
to hear what you said.
okay. I
I
think I
feel like,
said, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I wanted you to repeat what you said.
Oh, when I was teaching it in person, and being, in the same room with people as opposed to on a Zoom call, I found uh it just had a different energy and I was able to really kind of, oh, you can feel into things through the action, but when you're like face to face, I felt like I could be more, I want to say be more inspiring. Like I felt I came alive in ways that it's hard for me to really do as much on a Zoom call and inspire these people. And I was just so joyful, the experience of doing that. And I got these people really excited about like their inner process. And like I gave them like questions and work homework to do that would kind of get them to think about themselves. And watching them put their podcast together, and not all of them did a podcast, but everybody did something. And
I
yeah,
really
so it
feel like I could learn from you because I'm, through this process of Todd and Sology Network taking a pause, to go inward and redo some of the things on the network. I said this on my last podcast. It really helped me grow to figure it out how to do it on my own. So far I know how to get to Facebook Live, and I purchased my own Zoom account, and and it forced me to look up tutorials on how to's, and it's fascinating how it's just in the settings. You just have to like turn on or enable or unable, like, and it's that simple, and then you can go live. And I've started my own YouTube channel, uploading the podcast
oh
to
good.
YouTube. And so like I'm taking little baby steps on what Anna's doing over here and how this is going to unfold, and how
Yeah,
my service work is transforming as well.
I love that. I think that that's really beautiful. And it is. It pushes you a little bit out of your comfort zone, but you
Mhm.
realize how easy some of these things are and how it can expand your I don't want to say everything, but yeah, it opens you up in certain ways to options and opportunities that, you might have been felt limited by your lack of skills or technical understanding of how to do certain things. And that's kind of what I found. I mean, it was all like just winging it, just looking things up and getting into like Facebook podcast forums. I think that the power of the people is the thing, like there's so much out there you can tap without having to like sign up for anything or pay out a bunch of money. Um, so
And it
yeah,
feels
it's
good. It feels good to be like, oh, I did it. I can,
totally, I
I can,
know, I
I can
know.
do this.
Yeah, I thought of offering to Todd to put together a little class for people on the platform if they wanted, to get a tutorial, like a few classes, totally, free or whatever. Just I might reach out to him on that. Just
I
give
believe,
people technical skills.
yeah, I believe the last post that I heard him speak about, that him and Linda were working on a video tutorial on how to stream from the
Oh,
network.
good.
So that's, I think it was supposed to come out today.
Oh, good.
Um,
Oh, good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that's still in the process there.
Yeah, I've said too, if there's people in Sology that I think I put it in some of the chats, if they need a hand, just reach out. You know,
I love it. And together we're stronger. Indeed, Jill. I always think to myself, like, um, how if we understood the power of togetherness, how we bring your talent, my talent, someone else's talent into the mix, and how it becomes this whole, right? Like I've
yeah,
used the analogy of someone who builds a house, and I've talked about how they need the framers and they need the roofers and they need all these people with different skills to make a home.
absolutely.
And
Well
that's what
put.
we're learning together, is that,
Yeah.
Jill, you have great knowledge in podcasting, and I definitely would encourage those listening who perhaps need a bit of a push, or maybe want to learn something they don't already know. I definitely encourage people to check you out, Jill, because I know I'm going to tap in on the 17th. If I
Oh,
have to look
good.
at my calendar, I want to look at my calendar, but I'm looking forward to always learning new things, and
I love
from
that.
my brothers and sisters who are out there doing the same thing as I am.
I love that. And I did want to mention if you sign up and you can't attend, I'll still send you the recording. So um it's just
That's
go to
perfect.
the click to the Eventbrite and I'll put it in. I don't, is there, yeah, I could I can't get to a chat here, but it's on my Facebook page, my main, you can just click and sign up through the link that's all over social media and it's on my website and yeah, hopefully you can find it.
I
I
will
would love
share.
to see.
I will share it under the
Okay,
comment section,
perfect.
um, so that people can find you as well. Before we get off, I do want to use this platform to highlight anything that you want to bring awareness to right now in this now flowing, loving moment together that we're having. Besides your podcast, besides addiction, what is in Jill's heart in this now moment that you want to share with the world?
Oh man, good question. I think what just came in this morning, I've been waking up with a lot of just resistance to getting out of bed some days. Just a
Mm.
lot of thoughts clouding in and morning I was meditating like just life is a gift and can you shift it a little bit and just be grateful, just gratitude. Uh Gratitude sometimes, gratitude for the challenges, gratitude. And I don't want it to be a bypass in any way. I feel that can happen where we're not really giving homage to the real like the things that people are walking through in their life real time, myself included, but it's a gift to be here to have this life, I think.
Of
I just
course.
feel like that every day. I am, yeah, despite every little challenge that I've had, and it's so easy to get stay in those mindsets of seeing that lens, having that lens of like, oh, especially with the escalation of things all over the world and whatnot. I think in and the infusion or the light that's coming into the planet. The
Yes.
Yeah, so
We've been getting solar flare after solar
I
flare after
know.
solar flare after solar flare, getting us ready for our heart to ignite in full capacity.
Oh, that's beautifully said. Yeah. So that's it, really. Just
You
shift
mentioned
the
that
frame.
sometimes that you have this, I don't want to get out of bed, for a moment, a brief moment,
Mhm.
you think, oh, I just want to stay in bed right now. And I believe many of us who are listening, including myself, when we have those moments in those days where we want to sit in bed or lay in bed, I will bring myself to, I want to live. I want to enjoy every moment. I want to experience life and not let one moment be wasted.
So true.
You
Yeah.
know, even if it's just walking out in nature or sitting by the river at times, and all these things in nature are free.
Yes,
And
that's
it's
huge
one
for
of the
me.
fastest ways to raise our vibration is to step outside,
Yep.
to
So
see the
true.
sunrise and the sunset. To me is just a miracle and magical moments for me.
Yeah. Right with you. I think nature has been huge these last few years, just getting out there, contact with trees. I never really had looked at trees or felt the energy of nature until the last year or so, really. And it's just been such a gift, such a relief, just to be out there and see the expressions of the trees.
And
My family thinks I'm insane, but that's okay. I'm like
yeah,
taking pictures and getting these like, I swear I see them. I see them.
yeah, I mean that's the beautiful part about being in this experience is that we feel things differently, right? We can feel nature and it speaks to us. I used to use the example that when a leaf is moving, it's saying hi to me in my mind, right? I'm looking at the tree and
Yeah,
the one leaf out of all the leaves is going, and I'm like, oh, hi, you must be saying hi to me. Hi. Just really engaging and having fun with life to its fullest is really important for me to
yep,
recognize that everything has a consciousness.
yeah. Yeah, and even I think I came to like when I'm in those moments of resistance of getting out of bed, not wanting to get out of bed, I kind of thought to myself, or a thought came in that was like, would you rather just not be here? And then never, despite, whatever think I have to face, whatever suffering I'm gonna put, that I think I need to choose to put, the human needs to choose to put herself through. I'm I'm just yeah, I'd still rather be here alive in this body and
Do you have
yeah.
family support there, Jill?
I do. I have a partner, my boyfriend, and he's an incredible support, incredible man. And I have friends and I have a network here. Yeah. It's not, I don't have a ton, but I haven't really felt like I've needed a ton of people. And I have, friends from, like I said, Lori Ladd that I keep in touch with, and some
Yeah.
close, I would say friends that are kind of on the awakening journey, which, thank goodness to have some people and Soology, yes. I listened to Todd for years before I ever reached out to be on his show, and just, oh man, just as a podcaster, such respect for
Mhm.
uh interviewing so many people. That it
I
meant
think,
so much to me standing in my kitchen listening to those podcasts and feeling like I wasn't alone.
yeah, and I do pay great, great gratitude for all those podcasts helping us and assisting us not feel alone because he did bring us all together.
Right,
Many of us
right.
met through the network and awarenesses, and he invited me to be a producer. And he would be like, he'd be like, well, you want to be on the show or ask me to be on his show. And I'd say, I will someday when I'm ready. And he was always said, I encourage you. I feel like you would do a really good job, you know, step into your power. He is always very encouraging. And so I am grateful because there's times where I didn't want to watch TV and I didn't want to be on Facebook or social media. And it gave me an opportunity to listen to other people's stories. And it assisted me in my own awarenesses and vibration and compassion for myself and others.
Yeah, I think that self-compassion piece was huge for me to look at, or I was a lot of awarenesses of unconscious behavior were coming up, and just hearing other people that have been through other things and how they still were able to hold self-compassion. And that's continues to be very relevant for me, that
Yeah,
piece.
and it's part of our mastery, and part of our
Mm.
spiritual maturity is to have this inner understanding that we were all born here, right, onto this planet under the same influences and programs with altered DNA, different awarenesses, perhaps, but we were all working through trauma and are feeling our way through back to center.
Mm.
And so that has really assisted me on my journey and my spiritual maturity when reflecting and observing others is that compassionate piece, realizing that everyone we interact with is walking in their own healing journey.
Mm.
And then we
Yeah.
can step out and zoom out of judgment. Because really, when we have judgment for others, we're in judgment about ourselves. We use that, or I use that as a tool.
Yes. Yes, I will say I some days I do a lot of judging, and it's always that hmm, what's going on there? Hmm. But
Yeah.
having some compassion for it too, because I think that's like I said, that's been a big struggle, and like hearing other people talk and hearing what they've been through and done and forgiven themselves for whatnot, and saw as a learning experience. Just it was like a big heart opening for me to be able to say, okay, Jill, you can give yourself a little understanding there and give yourself a little love because yeah, it's easy to really
Give
crack the
yourself a
whip.
lot of love,
A
Jill.
lot of love.
Give
Yes.
yourself not just a little bit, a lot of
Thanks.
love.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Love yourself wholly and completely for the light that you are and the service work that you're providing. I definitely want to continue this conversation with
Oh,
you
thank
after,
you. Yes,
not
and you
literally
too.
after my show, but I will connect with you, Jill, and
Okay. Sounds
continue
good.
this friendship. I'm so glad that
Thank
you
you,
came
Anna.
on my show.
Yes,
I,
thank you. It's hard for me to not want to interview you back, but so I hope that happens someday because I would like to hear about your life and
oh,
I
most definitely. Everyone
okay,
who's been on my show, I would return the favor. Absolutely. I
good.
have uh it's not Monica Ramirez. Is it Monica Ramirez? I was thinking of my next guest. I feel like I've had Nicole, I've had you, and last week it was with Susan and Julia.
Yes, I saw that
And
one.
so it's really lovely to connect with all of us who are heart centered and want to share our stories and our love with the world. I thank you, Jill. Again, tell
Thanks.
everybody where they can reach you, my dear.
Okay, so it's Jill Woodworth, WOODWORTH.com. I have a contact part on there. You can reach out on Facebook. It's I believe it's Jill. Well, it'll be in.
It'll
Just
be
look me up.
in my
It'll be in
comments.
your
Yeah.
and the link to my event, February 17th at 3 p.m. I would love to see any all. And like I said, if you can't attend, I'll send you the recording. So, and thanks
And
again,
that was
Anna.
you're welcome. And that was 3 p.m. Eastern.
Eastern, yes, 3 p.m. Eastern. So
All right,
12
my
p.m.
dear.
PST. All right.
Have a blessed rest of your
Thank
day.
you.
Continue on shining your beautiful light to us all. I'll
Oh,
talk
thank
to
you,
you
Anna.
soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.